Writing is not the hard part of piecing together a progression. The challenge is in providing a reason for the chosen progressions. See, I believe that progressions are founded on standards, which is why we took time to plot out and reverse engineer the inner workings of ideal swim actions. As a culmination of this series, my goal today is to explain how we composed the skill tree. We will be glossing over a lot of new info, so stick till the end so you can decide on what skill branches you would like me to prioritize in the next series. That being said, let's start at the origin point. Body position. We've all seen diagrams like this, and I think we can all agree that body position relies a lot on finding your center of buoyancy, regardless if it is done on the back or on the front. In my experience with beginners, the ones who struggle to float in extended positions like these will stick their heads out in the wrong direction. This is a common reaction to laying on an unstable surface. For those who are comfortable with submersion, the second most common problem is a disengaged core that causes passive tilting of the pelvis. This is still bad for streamlining purposes. Those who are proficient in contrast will understand that the body has to balance on the buoyancy of the lungs, which is a relatively small area of the body. The swimmer knows how to lean the body on this buoyant area by engaging the core. By illustrating our intended actions from the swimmer's perspective, we get these familiar trajectories. The second lesson of this series highlights the core actions we need to control body position. Now let's attempt to add propulsion from the lower body. We have a couple options for kicking branching off from our initial skill set. Flutter kicking is a common entry point for lower body propulsion. The choice will depend on several factors personal to you or your swimmer. I would personally prefer entering through the skill branch of backstroke flutter kicking. Here's why. In our 6th lesson about whip kicks, we established that the flutter kicks require the recruitment of the lateral hip muscles on the side of your body. Notice how much more controlled the knee bend is when it is paired with the lateral muscles. Compare this to how much the knees can bend due to its synergy with the hip extensor muscles, which is counterproductive for our purposes. So why do I prefer a lying position? Given that our required skill of back floating is solid, the water position here provides a tactile suggestion to the swimmer. The back position discourages an override from the powerful hip flexors since you can only kick to the surface, and it can also discourage an override from the powerful hip extensors that do not directly contribute to foot flicking. Tactile cues are of course best paired with verbal, mental, or additional tactile cues. There are always ways to compensate for any disadvantages. Regardless of variation chosen, a good understanding of the kick mechanics should be present. Now let's look at the lesser known skill options. Recall that the dolphin kicks prefer to snap back to core compression and breaststroke kicks prefer to snap back to extension. Also recall that the front float position favors compression while the back float favors extension. So to have the body position work for us, it would make sense to perform the frog kicks on the back and the dolphin kicks on the stomach. Going on the back encourages proper core extension. This ensures that we are working on the highest level segment while we're learning or relearning the kick mechanics of the legs. For dolphin kicks, you'd be surprised by how responsive swimmers are to simple cues like lean back and snap. Given that the face down body position encourages core compression, a face down practice with dolphin kicks encourages the swimmer to maintain contact with the center of buoyancy. Challenges will differ, so solutions will also differ. But ideally, we should be on the same page when it comes to the mechanics of the kick. Now there are 2 more variations that I've decided to put on a more advanced skill branch. This is because the body position in these variations work against the core action of the kicks. In breaststroke for example, the swimmer has to think about core extension since the front float position won't really work for them this time. In the same sense, reverse dolphin kicks will also challenge the skill of undulation since the body position won't allow for large passive kicks anymore. Both of these drills are good for a swimmer that already has a level of mastery of the prior skills, but it may be an uphill battle for someone who hasn't gathered enough skill or awareness of the prior skills. Let's branch out next to the base of upper body propulsion. The concept of inner and outer hand pressure was hinted at in our lessons about convergent trajectories. We used bands to show why a focus on an outer hand pressure makes sense in both backstroke and butterfly. In contrast, inner hand pressure is more prevalent for breaststroke and freestyle. It is therefore ideal to learn the skill of sculling on both the front and back float position. My go-to variations are the flat versions of the skull, which still requires awareness of the body position. From here we can now build the foundations of our short and long axis strokes. Let's kick it off with body rotation. A swimmer who is proficient at kicking in one direction will have greater potential to quickly learn body rotation. The head here is the stable point, while the shoulders and hips are the mobile point. The mastery of body rotation and back sculling from higher up in the skill branch allows for rapid learning of the arm pull. We want to take advantage of the convergent trajectory phenomenon by mirroring our skill branch for butterfly too. Once again, we pull from this bracket here and add an element of timing, hence the color classification of our higher level skills. Swimmers who are proficient at body rotation, for example, are encouraged to have the skill of achieving rotational action within a strict 6-beat cycle as if swimming the full stroke. This is an entire topic in and of itself. In the same sense, swimmers who are proficient with undulation should progress into developing precise timing that will make the process of adding the arms easier down the line, especially if we have followed through with introducing feel for the water earlier up in the skill branch. On the other hand, the full arm cycle of the breaststroke can be introduced first because of how similar it is to front sculling already. Once a level of proficiency is achieved, all you have to do is pair it with the frog kick that we have already established earlier. Observe how arm propulsion is an easier skill to introduce compared to timing in this context. Will the same phenomenon exhibit itself in freestyle? Freestyle propulsion will require rotational balance from the swimmer. Remember our front floats? Now we just have to introduce or relearn how to lean on one buoyant part of the lungs, while still being able to twist from the hips. This requires an element of rotational control so that the hips don't rotate the body off balance. This allows us to stay close to the center of buoyancy as we move forward. You can imagine how much easier it is to execute drills such as the catch-up freestyle that lets us focus on concepts like end-to-end propulsion, especially if we did follow through with building a feel for the water early on. From there, timing in freestyle can become a less complicated topic to digest. So we're not just trying to write progressions, we're trying to get into the swimmer's point of view. So go ahead and comment on what you want me to expound on in the next series. Let's grow those skill trees.